Oh hey, what's up? I'm Ellie and welcome back to my channel. I just love doing my wrap-ups in my race car chair because I just know I'm gonna be here a while, you know? Why can't I ever do things semi-short? Today I'm going to be doing my August wrap-up. It honestly feels like August was 10 years ago, and I mean it technically was also 10 years ago, but it feels like it's been a really long time since August was happening, and September is flying by, and where the hell has this year gone? I don't know. I'm going to be doing my wrap-up for you guys. I read a total of 9 things. You will have seen, if you watched my Books in La La recommendations video, where I have already talked about my feelings for at least 5 of those, but we're going to do a little more precise overall thoughts here, so you guys, or if you just didn't want to watch an hour of me basically dissing books, you can do it here in a much shorter time. 4 audiobooks, at least 2 graphic novels, a short story collection, only 3 YA, and I think everything else is pretty much adult, so let's go ahead and get into this. I am going to have timestamps down below for you. People are always like, why do you add timestamps? It's if you want to skip to something. I don't make a bajillion dollars off of each video, so I don't care if you don't watch the whole thing. If you're only here looking for one thing, it's gonna be, there's a timestamp down below for it. It's just to help you guys. I don't know, people get mad at me sometimes when I do nice things. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get into this. As always, I'm going to start out with the audiobooks. So, of the 4, let's see, what had the lowest rating of the audiobooks? I'll talk about Dig. So, Dig was one of the ones that I read. It was a Books in La La recommendation. Different than what I thought it was going to be about. So, it follows several different teenagers, and their lives are pretty weird, pretty strange. They all have, like, these weird backstories, kind of terrible. They don't really keep in contact with anyone outside of like their immediate family. It's all about the weird jobs that they do in order to like get money and stuff, but deep down they have roots that are connected, and it's all down, it boils down to potatoes. Everyone's got potatoes in common in this book, but you don't really realize that necessarily. That's not like the main focus of it. It's definitely more about their weird lives and the hardships that they go through and the things that are happening around them. There's kind of a fantastical element to this with, I'm not going to get into that, but this was okay. I guess it was quirky. One of the girls runs like a flea circus. The one, she's works the drive-thru, and then she also sells weed. The other one is known as the shoveler. Like, they all have some pretty strange things going on in their lives. I enjoy quirky, but this was just like trying too hard to be quirky, and it was focusing so much on being different and weird that I felt like I never really got to know the characters. They felt pretty like two-dimensional. They never felt like fully rounded out to me. You kind of know what's going on, and for the most part I just thought this was going to be a so-so read. The only thing that really got to me was the end. This ends up being more of a discussion on race, and it's focusing on the white privilege aspect of race, like how white people of white privilege and people in their families kind of look down on other races, and it goes into that and how newer generations are trying to be better and fix that, and you know, they have problems with their families because of this. So it's definitely becomes more of a discussion about race. The ending really saved this because there's just a moment where it's like the narrator is like angry with you for not doing like a better job and telling you to go out there and fix the problems in the world and like things like that, and it was really good. Audiobook was fine. The overall book was fine. It wasn't like the best thing I ever read. It was quirky. Yep, that's like, there's nothing really exciting, super exciting that happens. I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5 just because I did enjoy the aspects where it talks about race and white privilege and just being better in the world, so I did enjoy those parts. Next I have The Last House Guest. This is Megan Miranda's newest one. I love Megan Miranda's writing. I think she writes just fantastic and relatable thrillers, pretty realistic. This is about a girl who she's in charge of like getting in order these guest houses for the people coming to live. It's like a shore city, so people are only really there during the summertime, and then they kind of disappear, but she's in charge of like keeping them clean, setting up appointments, like getting people in them, and she does this for a family that she was friends with their daughter, and a year from when the audiobook takes place. A year before that, it is believed that her friend committed suicide on the rocks. Now, she doesn't really believe this has happened, and she comes across something that really makes her investigate more into this. Like, she just cannot believe that her friend would have committed suicide. So she goes and she's like investigating, and she's digging deeper into like the town's history and some of its secrets, and she comes across some things that you know, lead her to believe that things are not what they seem, and she's not too sure who to trust, if the people closest to her might be the culprits or what is going on. So you got that mystery about like what's going on in the town. Why has this girl died? You also have the mystery of this girl's backstory. You're not too sure. Like, she talks about like this tragic backstory with her parents, but you can tell that there's like an underlying mystery to it as well. So you got several different layers of mystery in this, and I always just love Megan Miranda's characters. They're just super relatable. You know, they're very empowering as well. They like to take matters into their own hands and figure out what's going on. They always have a little bit of a dark side, so they can see the darkness, I guess, in other people and such. So it wasn't my favorite of hers, but it was really good. I think I listened to it within like a 2-day period just because I really had to know. I did find this one a little more predictable than her other one. It was still really enjoyable, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Never have I ever, and this, like, I just kind of picked this up on a whim, and oh boy, this was just plot twist after plot twist after plot twist after plot twist. Like, something was constantly happening in this, and it was just kept me on my toes every turn. I will say that this isn't really so much a mystery. This is definitely more of a thriller. It's a little more on the unrealistic side once you get into it, but if you go into it knowing that it's a thriller more than a mystery, and it's more like an action thriller, honestly, then I think you won't be let down. I feel like a lot of people have been going into this as a mystery, and they're waiting for like the mystery part to pop up, but it's not really about that. So, you know, what was I saying? I guess I should give you a synopsis. So this is about a like small town, kind of small rich town, picket fence type families. The women get together, book club, they meet together for book club, and one day this newcomer shows up, and she's like this, she's way sexier than the rest of them. They're all kind of envious of her. She walks in, she just has like this air of arrogance about her, and she walks in and she brings one, she gets them all drunk and tries to get their secrets out of them. Well, this leads to some darker secrets being revealed within the neighborhood, but it also leads to our main character realizing that this woman knows more about her than anyone else in this town does, and she is blackmailing our main character. So this is about us finding out what has happened in this main character's history, because apparently she has done some terrible things in her past. Those secrets being revealed, and you also get some secrets about the town, and you also get secrets about the woman that is like blackmailing her, and she is doing the running around to try to avoid the blackmailing. It was really intense in some parts, really exciting. I really liked that our main character was pretty morally gray, more so on like the darker end of the gray scale than the lighter end. But this was really enjoyable. I ate it up, and I would have given it a 5 stars. I would have, except for there is some serious fat phobia mentioned in this. It was pretty yikes for the most part. So if that is something that is triggering to you, know that it is very apparent throughout the majority of this book. Like, pretty early on we were talking about some pretty deep fat phobia, and then it just keeps coming up. There's also talk of eating disorders, so if that is a trigger. And the last audiobook I have is Turn of the Key, which I was super excited about because it is a turn of the screw retelling. The general basis of this is that it's about a nanny who is hired, and weird things are happening in the house, and essentially one or more of the children is killed, and the blame is placed on the nanny. So Turn of the Key is different because it takes place in more modern times. It's a smart house, which I wasn't expecting. So I was pretty intrigued to see how this smart house is going to play into things. On top of that, you already know straight off the bat that the nanny has been put into jail for killing this little girl, and it is her writing out her side of the story, and she's not like a good person kind of deal. There's some layer to mystery in this as well. Some things that I had guessed at and some things that I hadn't. Although there was some aspects that I thought was predictable, I did talk to it. I've had like everyone reading this, and I've talked to other people, and they've said that they haven't seen the things that I've seen, and vice versa. So there's some parts of it that might be predictable to you, but in other parts that aren't. But this definitely kept me on my toes. The audiobook is fantastic. I would highly recommend, if you were going to read this, to do the audiobook, because the narrator just does a great job of doing like this eerie feeling anytime something weird is happening in the house, and it is fabulous. So yeah, I don't really want to give too much away, but I loved it. It's probably in my top 10 of the year. It was just really great. Thing would be graphic novels. I read 2 graphic novels. One was Sirens. This is like a middle grade graphic novel about this girl who lives by the sea. Her and her cat, Captain Bill, they love to go surfing, which I just thought was so great. So they go surfing, and she has to take care of her grandfather, who has, I believe, dementia. It might be Alzheimer's. But he has some sort of memory loss problem, and he keeps getting lost, and today she believes that her grandfather has gone out to sea, so she tries to go looking for him, and she gets pulled under and ends up finding these sea sirens, and they are at war with sea serpents, and so she gets tangled into this war. She gets to see their side of things, and it was just a really fun, kind of cute graphic novel. It wasn't like the best thing that I've ever read, but it definitely told enough of a story. It was interesting. The artwork is different than what I'm used to. It's kind of more rough kind of style. It was interesting. I gave it a 3.5 just because it was great, but not necessarily the best thing of all time. And then the other thing I read was Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me, and I loved the art style in this. I love this kind of like a monotone where they just stuck with like pinks and went with it. I thought that was really great. I really loved that. This is about a very abusive relationship, at least mentally abusive relationship. This follows a girl who is dating Laura Dean, Laura Dean is a like very popular kind of deal. She's very highly wanted, I guess, by other people. So Laura Dean is not very nice, so she keeps pulling in our main character, and she will, you know, the good times are really good. They're really good when they're together, and then they'll be separate, and Laura Dean is cheating on her. She's running around, against her back, she's cheating on her, and she just keeps luring her right back in. So there's other parts of this story as well. This went into so many other deep topics that I was not expecting whatsoever. It is obviously a female-female relationship, but it's about this girl kind of breaking free of that relationship, realizing her worth, making friends, you know, getting back with her old friends, things like that, and just growing as a person after an abusive relationship, and just how bad the ups and downs can be. I thought this was a really realistic portrayal of the ups and downs of an abusive relationship. And it was told just so brilliantly and beautifully, and I love the other aspects of it, and it was just so good. It's a 4 out of 5 stars. Next we have the short story collection, and I read This Accident of Being Lost. However, I chose not to rate this. It is a collection of short stories and songs or poems, and I believe it follows, no one corrected me, but I believe it's Native Canadian, but it is an Own Voices book, and it is about her telling her feelings about just the world in general, a modernized world where people still look down on natives, and just the general ideas against natives and things like that. It also personifies a lot of nature aspects, and really just the romance with nature and things like that. I chose not to rate it. It read very stream of conscious, which I don't like. I just chose not to rate it, but if that is something that you're interested in, here is the mention. The one other adult book that I read was Middlegame, and this is a kind of, I would consider it more sci-fi, but it's based around alchemy, and it is about who was really good at alchemy, but she wouldn't be accepted into like the committee because she was a woman and they wouldn't respect her ideas, and basically she found a way to kind of create a physical form of the doctrine that would change the way the world works, because alchemy can like change the world and things like that, and elements of the world. So she created another human live longer than her and actually put out her plans and blah 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 and make it real. So that ends up leading to, we get twins who are each half of this doctrine, and one is the mathematical side and one is the language side, and they are put separately, but it is about how they keep coming together, and when they are together they have these powers and they are more powerful, and they could essentially lead to this, like, it's not an imaginary road, but it is an imaginary road kind of deal to change the way the world works. Complicated. This deals more with our two twins and how they kind of have to deal with the struggles in the world of being a woman who is real into mathematics, where she's not taken very seriously, what that means like in her personality, how she is trying to navigate the world when many people aren't accepting her. And then on the other hand, we have her brother who is more, he finds a way to fit in, but it's still about those feelings that he has about not fitting in and just, you know, trying to make the best of it, and just anxiety and not being able to rush into things and like things like that. So it deals more with them personally, like just their persons, more than this doctrine thing that doesn't really come to anything until close to the end. There's just so many complicated parts of this. It took all of my brain power to focus on this. Like, I was exhausted after reading it because it just like took everything I had, and I feel like it was written so well. I just love Seanan McGuire's writing. It's just like got this slight dark aspect to it, and I like the overall storyline of this. I liked seeing them come together. I will say that I don't think there was any growth in them, just because they are set, like their personalities are set for them, so you never really get to see them grow any. You just see them grow in and out with each other kind of deal. I also thought that like we got this big build up, like you literally spend so much of it building up to the end when they will come together and like change things, and I just felt really let down by the ending. I felt like there was so many possibilities and it just was very underwhelming for what could have happened, and I wish more would have been focused on like this imaginary road type thing that we were working our way to. I just wish that that would have been a bigger part of the story, which is why I feel like I cannot give this a full 5 stars. I did still enjoy it for the most part, and I am giving it a 4 out of 5 stars. Beautifully written. I liked the overall storyline. I just felt a little let down by the ending of it for the most part. And then the last thing is the last YA book, and that is Tell Me How You Really Feel. And if you saw my vlog, you will know that I hated this book. I hated it. It's a female-female romance, and I understand its importance, but oh boy, it was just not good. So this is a miscommunication plot the whole way through, which is my least favorite plot device of all time. It is about 2 girls. The first time they meet, the one girl is so arrogant that, and like is so full of herself, and she thinks that this other girl is trying to like make fun of her by asking her out, and immediately like tells her to F off, even though it's not what was happening at all, and they become enemies from that moment on. So this is like 3 or 4 years later, and the arrogant one is making a film and she needs help. So she is put together with the cheerleader and the one that she hates, and they have to make this film together, and of course that means spending more time together and realizing that there's been this massive miscommunication, and about them realizing things about each other, and they're not who they thought each other was, and you know, lovely and all, but it's so repetitive. They just keep talking about, oh, they're just not what I thought they were like, and oh, they just were not what I thought they were like, and it would paraphrase their like realization like every 3 pages, and it was very repetitive in that aspect. I also felt like there wasn't a lot of actual chemistry between the two. Also, there's a lot of arguments that happen in this, but the arguments, like, you don't even know they're coming. Like, it's like someone says something and it's pretty like normal, there's no build up to it, and the other character will just be like, oh my god, I hate you, fuck you, like just out of nowhere. I would just keep rereading it, and I was like, did I miss, like, was there a trigger word in here? Like, did I miss what we were arguing about? Like, what is happening? I always felt confused when some sort of argument was happening. I just had a hard time just really enjoying any real aspects of this at all. There was not much for me to enjoy. I gave it a 2.5. The writing isn't awful, it's just repetitive. I understand the importance of the storyline, and I mean, I did finish it. 2.5 is okay. Yeah. Alright friends, I think that is it for my August wrap up. I hope that you guys have liked this video. Don't forget to subscribe to see future wrap ups from me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!